Hi there, I'm John Reed, and today I will be giving a presentation on Interstate 35. Interstate 35, more commonly known as I-35, is one of the most significant interstates in the entirety of the United States. Similar to most interstates that end with a 5, it is a cross-country interstate, usually running north to south. The interstate splits into an I-35 East and an I-35 West on 2 separate occasions in the Dallas and Fort Worth Metroplex, and also the double urban area of Minneapolis-St. Paul. It is 1,568 miles long. Interstate 35 is the 9th longest interstate highway in the United States, following I-94, and is the 3rd longest north-south interstate highway, following I-75 and I-95. Despite the fact that it is usually viewed as a total cross-country interstate, it actually doesn't reach either the Canadian or the Mexican border. I-35's southern end is a traffic light in Laredo, Texas, just barely shy of the Mexican border. If you wanted to take I-35 all the way down to the Mexican border, you could cross the Rio Grande at the Juarez-Lincoln International Bridge, and at the northern end, it ends in Duluth, Minnesota, which is just shy of the Canadian border, which could be crossed by going through U.S. Highway 53. The significant urban areas in I-35, notwithstanding what was just mentioned, include, but are not limited to, San Antonio, Austin, Oklahoma City, Wichita, Kansas City, and Des Moines. A few segments of I-35 in Oklahoma City were originally introduced and put to work in 1953, preceding the establishment of the interstate system in the United States. Through Norman, Oklahoma, the highway was initially opened in June of 1959. In Moore, it opened in 2 sections. The northern half, associated with Moore at Oklahoma City, opened in January of 1960. This is in huge part because of the endeavors of the towns of Wynwood, Pawley, and Wayne, which battled to keep I-35 as close as conceivable to US 77. I-35 was finished in Oklahoma in 1971, when parts of the highway going through the Crater Company, furthermore Murther Company, were open to traffic. The last portion of I-35 to officially open was the North Fork, Iowa, between Mason City and the US 20, closest to Iowa Falls. As it said here, there was a lot of controversy that surrounded the construction and eventual completion of I-35. On September 1st, 1965, there was an arrangement change for it to resemble US 65 through northern Iowa, which carried the roadway a lot nearer to Mason City, and a lot of ranchers held issue with this because it ended up dividing a lot of their land into triangular pieces, which is not good, and so they held that in court and had a bunch of lawsuits coming against the government for the defamation of their land through I-35 for quite a while, and this was eventually dismissed in November 1972 case. It was dismissed against the ranchers, and the last section of I-35 was permitted to continue in the long run, operating in 1975. That's the Iowa portion. The Texas portion was initially proposed as the NAFTA Superhighway, which was originally coined under the term of the Trans-Texas Corridor. It was an express project included with the proposition to basically resemble I-35 from the Mexican boundary up to the Oklahoma line. There are significant differences with respects to what sway the equal course on what would happen to I-35 as far as traffic support and trade. It was originally proposed to carry things like power, oil, water, and fiber optic links. And this was initially finally shut down in 2007's GOP debate. There are 6 different states in total that I-35 runs through, and some, like I mentioned earlier, there are a couple of major places you can stop through along the way. In Texas, you have Dallas, Fort Worth, Austin, San Antonio, some big stops in Oklahoma. include Oklahoma City, Moore, and Norman County. In Kansas and Missouri, you have Wichita, Topeka, and pardon me if I mispronounce this, Emporia. And Missouri includes Kansas City, Cameron, and Bethany. And then finally, Iowa and Minnesota, as mentioned at the top, including Des Moines, Urbandale, and Amez. And some Minnesota stops are Duluth, Minneapolis, St. Paul, and Anoka. Thank you.